India for his statement, and I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank the Special Representative of the Secretary-General and Head of the United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan, Ms. Deborah Lyons, for her thoughts and views on the situation in Afghanistan. We are grateful to Ms. Freshta Karim for her clear, very brave statement, a clearly emotional statement. We welcome the participation of representatives of regional states in today's meeting. The events occurring after the 15th of August and the new reality in Afghanistan did not bring either the Afghans themselves nor the international community any closer to a stabilization of the country or the establishment in the country of a peaceful, indivisible, and drug and crime-free state. Long-standing, decades-old problems remain, and new challenges have emerged, due first and foremost to a lack of international recognition. We remain in favour of the formation of a genuinely inclusive government, appropriately reflecting the interests of all main ethno-political forces in the country, as well as an Afghanistan-led moderate, domestic and friendly foreign policy, and the respect in Afghanistan of basic human rights, including those of women and children. A key aim is to eradicate the threats from terrorism and drugs, and it remains so. We trust that the new authorities will be more astute than the previous Afghan leadership in order to satisfy their own ambitions. The leadership sacrificed national interests and abandoned their people to the whims of fate. We see that the Taliban are prepared to engage practically with the international community and regional partners to solve the main challenges facing the country, bringing law and order and ensuring the country's recovery after a years-long conflict. We can indeed see the first positive signs, in particular regarding the return of women to work in the social sector and also regarding girls' education. We also note the new authorities' efforts to combat the Islamic State, given the frequency of bloody terrorist attacks through which the Afghan wing of ISIL is striving to destabilize the situation in the country and its neighboring regions. The terrorist threat is also linked to the drugs problem. Drugs are the main source of terrorist financing. Today, there is a real threat of terrorist and drugs activity, including by being concealed in migration flows, from this activity spilling over into neighboring countries. We trust that the Taliban will continue to uphold their promises to root out these problems. However, these problems, coupled with poverty, food shortages, and corruption, are nothing new for Afghanistan. They were to a large extent inherited by the Taliban since they were not systematically tackled for 20 years. However, as opposed to the situation just a few months ago, the new Afghanistan authorities are deprived of any sources of income at all. The banking system is paralyzed. Afghanistan does not have any available cash. Physicians, doctors, teachers, and police officers are not being paid. All this inevitably is verging on a humanitarian disaster. The victims would be millions of ordinary Afghans. Mr. President, the top priority at the moment is providing Afghanistan with urgent humanitarian assistance. We welcome the swift actions undertaken by the UN in this area and without upsetting the established cooperation with local authorities. We support the coordinating role of the UN in consolidating international efforts in the area of humanitarian assistance. In turn, we too are prepared to make our contribution to this overall aim. In the near future, we will send food and medicine and basic goods to Afghanistan. We trust that key donors will also demonstrate much needed generosity in this critical situation. We, however, have to note that however assistance is currently distributed through OCHA funds or programs, without unfreezing resources through international financial institutions, it will not be possible to solve Afghan social and economic problems. We hear this from the UN themselves, predicting in such a case a swift economic collapse. In this context, we support including UN funds and programs in the work of working with the relevant ministries to disperse unfrozen resources in order to ensure uninterrupted work of different categories of civil servants who provide services to the population. It's pleasing that on the matter of preventing an economic disaster in Afghanistan, the position of regional players and extra-regional players are very close. In this regard, we deem it expedient, as soon as possible, to convene, under the auspices of the UN, a representative international donor conference. This would be on the understanding that the main burden of post-conflict economic and financial recovery and on the recovery of development of Afghanistan should be borne by the forces and military contingents who were present in that country over the past 20 years. Mr. President, the Russian Federation continues to provide direct assistance to the Afghan settlement process. We believe a leading role here is played by the extended Troika. Its most recent meetings were held in Moscow on the 19th of October and Islamabad on the 11th of November. A unique platform for broad regional cooperation with the participation of the Afghans themselves is still provided by the Moscow format, and this was reiterated during the latest round in Moscow on the 20th of October. We're in regular contact with all 5 Central Asian countries. Of more importance than ever is cooperation with regional organizations, the CSTO and the SCO, including the CSTO Working Group on Afghanistan and the resumed SCO Afghanistan contact group mechanism. In conclusion, we'd once again like to underscore our unswerving commitment to the sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity of Afghanistan. Its security and safety is in the interests of Afghans, their neighbours and the entire international community. Thank you.
Doy las gracias al
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation.